Twitching and tracing and twitching, baby. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Anthony, I want to tell you about Xenobots.
Oh, my favorite anime from the 90s.
Because we did it. We made them. We did it.
No, I used to get. I remember they had Xenobots at McDonald's for a little while, and if you collected all 5 of them,
you could make the large Xenobot. You put them all together.
You'd make Xenolord.
Right, I forgot about Xenolord.
Never forget about Xenolord, my dude.
Well, we have created our own Xenolord, or maybe some Xenolords have created Xenobots. The point is,
I don't want to get into Xenobots lore right now because I could go all day.
You know, because there was the Japanese Xenobots, and then when they were bought by the American company, they just they re-edited all the episodes. You know?
And they cut it all together in a strange way, and they added subplots that weren't there. I mean, there are some people that love it, and I get that because it's the one you remember from your youth. But if you have not seen the original Japanese Xenobots,
that's why I always say release the Xeno cut. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Anyway, we have created.
What the fuck's a Xenobot?
Xenobot. I'm so glad you asked. A Xenobot, it turns out, could potentially be a brand new kind of being, an entity that we have manufactured in a lab.
We are as unto God now.
We are. Finally, we are gods. And when I say we, I don't mean you and I, of course. I'm referring to
yeah, that goes without saying.
I'm referring to Dr. Blackiston, a biologist.
No, that's a bad guy.
Dr. Blackiston feels like the star of an exploitation movie in the 70s, you know?
Let me tell you something. His name is Dr. Blackiston.
Dr. Blackiston.
He's definitely a scientist, but maybe also an occult wizard.
Yeah, step into Dr. Blackiston's office.
I'd rather not, thank you.
Dr. Blackiston is a biologist at the Center for Developmental and Regenerative Biology at Tufts University.
It's a front.
He is working with Michael Levin, so it's Blackiston and Levin.
Oh, Levin has no
team.
idea what's going on.
Levin is worried about the budget and all of the paperwork.
Oh, Levin's just thinking they're going about their day doing normal science. Levin's knocking on Blackiston's door at the office, and he's like opening it up, and like Blackiston's in there drawing chalk runes on the floor.
Yeah,
and he's like,
"Hey, I secured us another grant." And
he's like,
Blackiston's like, "Yeah,
Douglas, I need you to sign these requisition forms for the equipment that you needed."
I shall sign them in blood.
You could I brought my own pen. You don't need to do that.
Oh, okay. I'll use your pen.
Yeah, but, it's blue ink. I did have some questions about some of the equipment.
Yes, of course. I'm so glad you procured all of my requirements.
Well, I mean, they're not procured just yet. We have permission, but I did want to ask about some of these oscilloscopes. We obviously need. Every scientist loves an oscilloscope.
Mostly for background.
Yeah,
I mean, just for pictures when people come in, they want to see a nicely moving oscilloscope.
Adds a little depth to the frame. I get it. Now, I did get down into this place where it's like, I don't know, the hearts of virgin lambs?
Yes, I need 6.
Yeah.
7 if you buy them, an even dozen will work, but 7, just to account for potential errors.
All right, Douglas, this is where I have to ask you. Can we get a deal on a dozen, or is that like...
I know a guy.
All right, great.
I went to school with Dr. Fearlord.
Oh... Dr. Fiarlid. Yeah. I met him at a conference. Great guy. So Dr. Blackiston, who's a totally normal dude.
Totally normal dude at Tufts University. They have created Xenobots in a petri dish. These are very small little creatures that are basically clumps of cells. They're about the size of I don't know, like a seed or something, like a tiny little, a few grains of sand.
Yeah, so they're not microscopic. You can see them without a microscope, but they're very small.
Yeah, like a poppy seed, like the size of a poppy seed.
Okay.
And they're dark like that. You can see them in a petri dish, and they move around. The idea is that these are the funny thing too is Xenobots, such a cool name. You think, of course, xenophobia. It's the prefix that means alien. It's so cool. Not why they're called Xenobots. In fact, actually, they're
named after the guy who makes the best sandwiches in the cafeteria.
Bill Zeno.
Bill Zeno. Hey, Billy. Hey, I named a sandwich after you, Douglas.
I named a new form of life after you.
Oh. Let me tell you something. We're unlikely friends.
They are actually named after an African frog called the Xenopus laevis. And the Xenopus laevis is the frog that they scrape for the skin cells used to create Xenobots. They take a fertilized frog embryo and they scrape skin cells off of it, and then they start plugging them together to create Xenobots.
These little bots do the hoppies?
What do you mean? Because they're frogs?
Yeah. Do they do the little hoppies?
Well, in a way. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that is so mind-blowing about Xenobots. Xenobots are this...
That we can make tiny robots out of a fucking frog?
Frog skin cells. Not even a frog. It's just frog
just
skin
hops
cells.
Away.
Yeah, the frog is fine.
That's what's crazy. The frog is
just
fine.
Got scraped. The embryo of the frog just got scraped, and then the frog's fine. No, what's so amazing about this is that it is an intersection between biology and sort of AI software design. Because what happens is these are little teeny creatures that move in very specific ways. They've actually gotten them to stack little bits of debris that they put in the petri dish into piles. They can dictate their behavior because their form actually predicts their behavior. And the way they determine their form is by building evolving AI routines virtually. Software-based AI routines.
Oh, so this is like, they've got this clump of cells. Let me see if I'm understanding this. They've got this clump of cells, and it's like those simulations they do online with like 3D animated characters where you can draw a weird character, and then it runs a simulation over and over again until it walks.
Yeah, it learns to walk, not because someone programmed it how to walk, but because someone built legs on it and gave it a problem, and it just keeps bumping into the problem until the legs learn to walk, right?
Wow.
So what happens is they actually built this software program that
This is how we die.
They built this software program that iterates onto very simplistic shapes. Like, okay, if we build a shape that has, a nubbin sticking out on the left and a little nubbin sticking out on the right, and it moves in a certain way, and it has a joint here that can rotate that nubbin clockwise, what happens? Oh, well, eventually it stacks up a bunch of debris into a pile. Oh, cool. Okay. So because we ran that simulation over and over and over and over again, and we determined that that particular form resulted in that particular behavior, we can take that information and go and build a little skin cell replica of that shape that moves in only that way, that can only bend in the same way that the virtual version can bend, and it will behave in the same way that our virtual version behaves.
My brain immediately wants to know with what certainty, and they may not go into this, I bet they don't, but with what certainty that form of robot will always do the exact same thing.
Well, the article seems to indicate, by the way, this is a Medium article that was sent to us by Jeff Engelstein, who's a friend and an awesome
Thanks, Jeff.
board game designer. This is a New York Times article. Pardon me. And it doesn't talk about specifically how long this took or what roadblocks they've come into, but they have created creatures that behave in a very specific way based on their form. So their form dictates their function. They only do what they're capable of doing, and what they're capable of doing
it's repeats
the Dieter
Rams
over and over.
Of robots.
It's what?
It's the Dieter Rams of robots.
Yes.
High design, form follows function, function follows form. They're beautifully minimalistic robots.
That's right.
You're gonna
That's
love it. They all come in like a beautiful off-white, They're made of like a fine, like they've got chamfered edges.
Exactly.
Just beautifully designed robots.
You should see the ad for these things. It's a gorgeous piece of visual storytelling. The British accented narrator is extraordinary in talking about what you can get with a Xenobot. Have you seen Xenobots? Xenobots are the new form of life, and we've seen life surprise us in myriad ways, but none so much as a Xenobot.
Can I get that in sage green?
Yeah. You can. You gotta upgrade your package to sage green. I'm gonna need a credit card. Yeah, it is the idea here is that
one of the viruses is a Milanese loop. It just looks like a little corkscrew, and it costs like $300 more.
Oh yeah.
But it's beautiful.
But it's
beautiful.
You should see the porcelain one. It's extraordinary. The idea was you could put these little creatures into people's blood and their arteries to help clean out arteries, because you could create. I mean, this is theoretical, obviously.
Yeah.
But you could create a thing that would clear out arteries if you just inject it in there, and then all these little Xenobots would do their thing.
They just chip away at blockages or whatever, and
they are
debris.
biodegradable. They're non-toxic because it's literally just cells of another creature.
Wow. That's so great. That's so great. And I love this more than, I mean, obviously when we think about technology like this, we think about like nanobots, right?
Right.
We think about like the gray goo, like self-replicating tiny actual machines, which we've been working on. But the idea of like I love biological machinery, dude.
But I find it so fascinating too, because there's no software layer inside the machine, right?
Buddy.
We don't build software. We literally use software to figure out how the biological machine should look, and the look dictates how it behaves.
Hey, buddy, that's life. You know what I mean? That's life, buddy. I do love that, because there is whenever they talk about AI, whenever they talk about things like this, there is something in the layman's mind. There's something in my mind. It's because it's just like whenever I talk to like AI programmers for games or AI programmers for things like this, they're just like, oh yeah, you program a pretty simple AI that knows to do this, this, and this, and it's like, no, fuck you, shut up. You make a little. I understand that I can go to the fun website and draw a thing that has like a weird arm and a weird leg, and it wants to jump over wall. And It will keep going again and again and again until it jump over wall. But what they can't make me understand is why it wants to jump over wall. Do you know what I mean?
That was my big stumbling block in reading this article a couple of times, going, well, what makes it want to? And the answer is it doesn't want to. It's all it can do. We run the virtual simulation, we iterate the form of this thing until the form does the thing we want it to do, and then that form can only do that thing.
We're literally just creating a form of subservient life. It's just built to do exactly what we want.
So the second half of this article is all about the ethics of this. It's all about the ethics of what this is. And they say, once these things can reproduce, what have we wrought?
Yeah.
You know?
What have we wrought?
Because it says, quote, people will ask, is it a robot? Is it a machine? Is it an animal? What this is really telling us is that we need to have better definitions of all those things.
Dude, I think as opposed to better definitions, I think we need to be prepared for the blurring of those definitions. Like, I don't think it's that we need better definitions. I think it's that we need to explain to people, and this is going to be a tough thing in the future, and it's going to be a huge thing in the future. We need to explain to people, living thing, animal, human, robot, machine, all same.
Yeah, maybe.
To a certain extent, all same.
Yeah. Well, then that's when we sort of break down our own. Are we, like you said, that's life, you know? Is that us? Is that because we have this certain form, we function in a certain way? I mean, is it just because my brain is a certain form that I have thoughts?
Yes.
I don't know.
It 100% is. Like we've looked at so many of these stories and these studies and things like this, and it literally is our brain. You know, it goes hand in hand. Our brain evolved to do the things that we need to do, and then we do more things or those things because our brain can do them well.
Yeah.
And we are just more complex machines. Like we talk about this all the time, even now with what's going on in the world. The idea that you can get a virus that your dog can't get because your biology is so different. That virus can't attack your machine. That virus, that code, can't hack that system. It's not built for it. And so there on a level, we are all purpose-built machines. We're multi-purpose machines. We're not a folding knife. We're a pocket knife.
Yeah.
But we are purpose-built machines to a certain extent. And when we do start building these tiny little multicellular life forms, dude, those are life forms. And can they replicate? Like, do they self-replicate, or is it something where we give you a certain number of those and they just die off?
They do not self-replicate. They only live a short time. So far, this is the place that these researchers have gotten so far at Tufts University. But Dr. Blackiston
this
envisions
motherfucker.
a day.
He does.
A day when you can automate this process with 3D cell printers.
Would you say that he envisions it, or he more like prophesies it? Like like he prophesizes.
It's more of a threat. I think it's kind of a warning that one day he will have the Xenobot army and they will unleash it upon his enemies.
Because once you have printers, and once you have printers that print on their own when they see a need, or printers that are run by other robots, I mean, this is how we get replicants, my dude. Do you want replicants? Because this is how we get replicants.
A little bit, I do. A little bit.
This is how you and Roy Batty wind up on a roof,
not knowing if I'm real,
not knowing if you're real. Until 20 years later, when they need to make a sequel, and they go, "Oh yeah, you're real.
You're totally real.
You're totally real." Because we need to make another $100 million. We won't.
Yeah,
But fingers crossed, by destroying what we made 20 years ago,
it's worth it.
It's worth it. It should come as no surprise to you. As long as we keep things at this level, I got no ethical worries at all about this.
Oh, I'm sure this is the level it will always stay, and there will be no advancements beyond this point, right? That's how science works.
Look, listen, as long as we lock it down right now, as long as we responsibly make laws and policy shaped by the brightest minds that are that understand science and can envision a brighter future for everyone.
Rational and cogent thought, devoid of panic or alarmist thinking, right?
Yeah. This is going to be great, as long as it stays right here.
And I'm sure that Dr. Blackiston will never command Levin to unleash the 3D printers.
And at that point, I'm sure Levin won't feel like, at this point, I'm pot committed. You know what I mean?
Oh, he's in. He's in. He's an accomplice at this point.
Levin's standing at this horrible console, and he's just like, I got my whole tenure based on this. Even
Levin.
if...
Press the button, Levin. Press the button.
I'm probably going to push the button, Doug, but I just want to say, I think it's really fucked up that we've gotten this far, and now whether I push the button or not, I'm probably going down as an accomplice for this.
Not if we rule together.
You're gonna push me into that pit of bubbling acid. I know you are.
The button's proximity to the pool of acid is purely coincidental.
Why do you even need me to push the button if you're just going to push me into the acid? This is a power thing, and it's weird and it's creepy. You could just...
One day, my replicants will push the button for me.
They could probably do it now if you didn't want to do this weird, creepy control thing over me.
Levin.
Yeah.
What if they are doing it now?
I'm just going to jump into this acid. I think the day
just
ends
as
this
you
way
were programmed
anyway.
to do.
What? I do love this, though, and I think this is an inevitability. This is something that it is the next wave of technology. There is no getting around this. The next wave of technology is nano, it's micro, it's biological, it's built of natural occurring things.
The thing that I think gets us out of the ethical problem is that we removed the thinking part. It's just a bunch of goo. It's just a bunch of goo. It's basically
that removes the ethical problem, right? That's not the ethical problem. We've removed the ethical problem.
The ethical problem is if it doesn't think, Why do I need to worry about it? This is basically
it's not that we created it not to think. That's not the problem.
I'm ignoring that part conveniently.
Great.
We got basically a rubber band and a piece of chewing gum that does a very specific thing. It doesn't matter that the chewing gum and the rubber band were made out of something that used to be alive or maybe is alive still. Right?
Sure. That's how I keep my Death Yaris running. I literally don't have any problems with this. I could see where people would have problems with this, but I mostly think that the ethical questions come from people that are thinking very, 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 very far into the future to when these are not simple machines. And
which
that's
you
cool.
have to do. That's, as an
have to
ethicist, that's your job, is to think about the ramifications of the first step of a very long step process.
Listen, baby, duck got a quack. You know what I mean?
Right.
Duck got a quack. Ethicist has to bring up this problem. But, like, it's good that we're thinking about it, because as long as you keep thinking about it all along the way, hopefully that influences your restraint and your morality as you move further. And listen, we are very, very, very far away from replicant country. We're not there. The fact that we can just make these simple little things is great, but I think we've got a lot of time before we need to worry about that. And thank goodness the ethicists are worrying about that, because I got a lot on my fucking plate right now, and I don't have time.
I appreciate that. As do we all. I just want to leave you with this one parting line from the article about Dr. Blackiston, just so we know the kind of man he is.
Is it about his cloaks?
It says, Dr. Blackiston began trying to sculpt cellular figurines that resembled his designs back before he was capable of it. First just with skin cells, then also with cardiac tissue.
Wow.
An assemblage of muscle cells that contracts and expands.
By the way, his designs, are all based on his dead wife. All these tiny little machines look like his dead wife.
Levin, the resemblance is purely coincidental.
I can't imagine that's true, Doug.
It's just a weird, it's more you really projecting her image.
I'm projecting an image of it onto the wall next to this photo of your wife, and they're identical, Doug.
Yeah. No, now I see it. You know what? Now I see it.
You see, so you can see where, like, maybe you're getting a little weird.
Push the button.
Can we agree? How do you feel about us? You can definitely let us know at wehaveconcernshow@gmail.com. I just wanted to take a break right here and say welcome to all of the new concerned citizens that are just joining us for this revamped, relaunched We Have Concerns.
It's been amazing seeing the last week unfold with the folks who were concerned citizens in the good old days returning to the fold or sticking around and rediscovering us and being so excited and so complimentary that the show is back. And then new folks who are saying, oh my gosh, I've been listening to some of the back catalog, and now I'm so excited to listen to the new episodes. Thank you and welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been wonderful to see all of the old faces and new popping up on Twitter, in the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/wehaveconcerns, and also on the Discord, which is available to all patrons. This is indeed where I flog our Patreon. You've reached that point in your favorite podcast. Patreon.com/wehaveconcerns is where you can go if you'd like to support us on this return of the show. You know, we talked a little bit about it last week. There was a very generous organization that was going to help us bring the show back. And of course, this has been rough and trying times for everyone, including them. So we decided, hey, we missed the show. We're going to bring it back ourselves. We're going to self-fund it the way we always did. And so many of you have joined up. We had a lot of returning patrons, about 850 returning patrons, which is wild.
That's awesome. Amazing.
And we have 100 new patrons.
Wow.
Just in a week, which is unbelievable. And if you want to help support the show, not only do you get the beautiful, wonderful benefit of knowing that you did some good for two white bearded men with a podcast, probably the most marginalized and troubled population in the world right now. the white bearded men with podcasts. Has anybody asked how this has affected the white bearded men with podcasts, Jeff?
I haven't heard anybody ask that. I'm glad we're finally bringing up the question no one dares ask.
We gotta ask those tough questions, buddy. But you don't just get to help us. You get a little bit of something out of it too. First of all, anybody that pledges $1 or more gets access to the community Discord, which is so much fun. This is where we all take a look at stories together, discuss episodes together, suggest new episodes. We have a whole area where people are just sharing beautiful pictures of their perfect princes and princesses at home, all the little pet pics.
Yeah. Anthony mandated that there would be a section just devoted to pet porn, I guess.
It's not porn. These are our children. How dare you, you sick fuck. But it is a wonderful place. I don't know what goes on there. It is a wonderful place to hang out. And, one of the reasons we brought this back is for the amazing community. So if you'd like to be part of the community, there's a great place to go. Of course, there's also the Facebook group as well. You can also get things like early episodes, bonus episodes, monthly hangouts with us and other patrons. A lot of great stuff. Go check it out and help support the podcast. It's patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Jeff.
Anthony.
I love that you brought this first story to the table because this second story that was suggested by Mark Nuffer, who must have a nickname from the old times.
I remember Nuffer. You know what? The thing about the nicknames is you barely remembered them as you were giving them.
Yeah.
And then you did not keep track at all.
No.
And then 2 years passed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do? We gotta ask Nuffer what his nickname was.
Yeah, if you had a nickname, listen, we're going on the honor system. Remind me what your nickname is. I remember a few of them. But this is a story that he sent in on the Facebook group that I feel like dovetails with your story so much because this shows how what we're doing is just a version of what life has been doing for millions of years. The headline to this is, what the heck is this long hypnotic stringy thing floating in the ocean? I love that headline.
You gotta raise the important questions. We were talking about the big questions. What is the long stringy thing in the ocean? Another question too few podcasts are raising right now.
That's right. You're only going to get that sort of question here.
What's that long stringy thing in the ocean?
Hey, you see that long stringy thing in the ocean? Listen, we know how I feel about the ocean, Jeff.
It's full of nightmares and you'd rather not go?
Yeah, it's like Jacques Cousteau once said, ocean is sort of space for Earth.
That's why
bad.
Cousteau was a poet.
That's right. Ocean is sort of space for Earth and bad, he said. Look it up. Read a book.
Yeah. There's a reason he wore all those turtlenecks, man. You want to expose as little of your skin to the ocean as possible.
Yep, turtleneck and hat. You just want to, just a tiny bit of skin. Just all the pathways to your brain is what you want to leave open. Exactly. You want to cover everything else up. But if you can keep all the pathways to your brain. So this is, and we'll include a photo of this.
Yeah, you got to see this one.
You got to see this one. But it is this weird, it looks almost like it almost looks like when you look at a topographical or like a radar map of an area.
Yeah.
It's just these concentric sort of circles made of like thin, wavy light.
Silly string. It's silly string. In the water.
It's wild. And this thing is over 47 meters long. It's 154 feet. It's huge.
Yeah. And this is in Australia, right?
This is in Australia where all things want us dead. This is a Venn diagram of all of my fears.
It's right in that sweet spot.
Yeah, it's the ocean, it's strange ocean life, it's Australia, it's nightmares.
It looks like a target. It's a big spiral. It says just right here is where you die.
And what happens is what they don't show in the photos, there's a big cliff that kids like to dive off of right above it. And kids are just like, I bet you can't hit the target. And they go and they jump and any kid that hits a target just disappears.
Never heard from him again.
Never again.
And you know what? Weirdly, it doesn't stop the kids from jumping.
Nope.
They think, not for me. I'll be the kid that survives it.
Well, also, interestingly, it removes their memories of the child that disappeared. So that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But we don't know what.
What is this stringy thing? What is this stringy thing that's in the ocean?
This is something called a siphonophore. A siphonophore.
What's a siphonophore?
Oh.
No,
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Siphonophores are, well, they're known for blurring the line between organ and organism, Jeff.
Oh, that's what we're known for.
That's
the
what
same thing we're known for.
Yep, I'm just a disgusting organ.
But maybe you're an organism. Who knows?
Maybe.
I'm
barely an organism these days. What's interesting about this is the most famous siphonophore is probably the Portuguese man-of-war.
Oh, that's a siphonophore, huh?
That's a siphonophore. So it's not in the jellyfish family. And why it's such a great example of a siphonophore is that siphonophores look like single organisms, but they're actually made up of groups of organisms all together.
This is a swarm of some shit?
This is a Borg situation, my dude.
Oh, man. I am one of 9.
Oh, baby.
Oh, my God. How many are we looking at here in this swirly bit in the Australian Ocean?
They are not sure. It is going to be quite a few. Because the thing is, when you look at siphonophores, without like grabbing them and kind of pulling, like looking at them in a lab and pulling them apart, you're never quite sure how many of them are making up a single organism.
Why are we not grabbing these things and pulling them apart? Let's
sure somebody is.
Let's grab this thing and yank on it.
I'm sure it's James Cameron and his weird submersible.
Let's get one of those kids to jump in and yank on it.
Let's do it. I want it. Yank it apart, kids. So here's the thing. They were able to estimate its length. It has yet to be formally measured. However, it does appear to be longer than any animal on the planet.
Whoa! That's cool. That's cool.
And so this thing is made out of, these are either zooids or zooids. I'm not sure. But zooids. I want to say it's probably zooids.
Zooids?
Maybe it's zooids. Yeah. Hey, tomato, am I right, baby? But basically, the reason they don't know how many there are is because these are going to be extremely small organisms. They clone themselves thousands of times into one of several permutations.
Whoa.
So just like we are building these purpose-built tiny clumps of cells, the siphonophore, when it is choosing to replicate itself, can make a colony of itself where it has several forms. One of them is for moving the colony around. One of them is for catching prey and eating. One of them is for, it's
got
nuts.
like a hive mind situation where it's like I will reproduce in what is necessary for the hive.
Yes.
Crazy. So
yes.
Do we know how it formed this beautiful spiral shape? Is it just sort of a function of floating in the sea, or is this thing doing something purposeful?
So a lot of siphonophores tend to make up sort of serpentine forms. A lot of the videos that I've seen while I've been looking them up has been like long chains, right? Like that's the easiest thing. You replicate into long chains.
Right.
Okay. The reason this one is all wrapped up like a UFO is a biologist, Rebecca Helm from the University of North Carolina, Asheville. It appears to have assumed a planar feeding posture, which makes it look a bit like a UFO. So what it's doing is it's
feeding.
It's put itself into these concentric rings. So it is grabbing the most food in a circular area.
Oh yeah.
Whereas if it was just like a long string, if you think about the ocean or space as like 4D, you can move in any 3-dimensional space you need to. It's easy to avoid a line.
Right.
A spiral covers an entire area, and therefore you're more likely to catch the organisms you need.
Dude, this is like a living spider web.
It's a living spider web. So this is crazy.
Big net on the surface of the sea that exists to catch food for itself.
In a colony this massive, there are at least millions of these little organisms tied together.
Wild.
and they're just sifting. This is very deep under the ocean. We're talking like 3,700 feet, something like that. This is like you're getting James. Not to bring up James Cameron again, but you're getting James Cameron deep. This is like
that's deep.
This is Aliens
this is like
of the Deep.
Avatar 2, the Abyss Deep.
Oh man, it's like unobtainium. That's but no, there's this James Cameron. You can get it on Blu-ray, and I watched it originally on IMAX at the Smithsonian. It's called Aliens of the Deep, where he like took a submersible down. You're in those areas. If you've ever watched like the episode of Planet Earth where you know things are bobbing and weaving into the coldest and hottest parts of the ocean.
Yeah.
We're getting not quite there, but it's deep. You're not going to see deep. This. So they share their spoils with each other by passing the nutrients along the stem they're all connected to, this vertical serpentine branch, which also serves as a passageway for nerve signals. So if you think about putting together like when you put together like a build at home electronics kit or like a Lego Mindstorms, right?
Yeah.
And you put it together and you click the pieces together. Somebody is going to tweet at me and say, this is like an Arduino. Shut the fuck up. Those aren't real. I don't know what they are. But when you connect them together, they are able to pass these electrical nerve signals amongst each other, exactly like a hive mind. So they all know this is what we're feeling. Food is coming this way. I've just caught this.
These things are playing the world's largest game of telephone.
Yeah, with stunning accuracy.
They're experts at it, of course.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like
so they are individual autonomous creatures that choose to be connected, and in their connection, pass signals to one another, basically functioning like one large creature.
Hey, buddy, you know what that is? That's love.
That's love on a grand scale.
Hey.
That is millions. You know what? That's a lesson for all of us.
Maybe we could all be a little bit more like this creepy ass fucking thing in the middle of the Australian Ocean.
Do you remember when John Lennon said, "Imagine all the people linked like a long stringy thing in the ocean,
like a human centipede."
Oh, we can make some sort of human centipede. Is
now
what you're suggesting.
I'm suggesting that if we created a human version of this,
some sort of, I don't know how you would connect a human centipede that it could pass food to itself over long distances from.
Surely there's been some sort of research done on this. Some sort of reference material that we can watch.
I'll just have to blindly Google it later and see what comes up.
I'm going to turn my safe search off before I do it. Sometimes it gets false positives and you miss out on the good science.
Good thinking, man.
So it also, because these things are so prevalent, there are tons of these. They normally don't get this big, which is why you and I have not heard tons about them, but they're everywhere. This is a very common form of deep sea life. Dude, the deep sea is fucking bonkers. They's aliens down there, Jeff.
They's all aliens, and they's different kinds of aliens. I don't even believe they's all from the same alien planet.
No, dude, this is different meteors hitting from different things.
Yeah.
But so they interact with equally strange creatures, right? So one of them is like, there's this deep sea, if you scroll down in the article, there's this transparent sea slug that eats little bits off the chain.
Oh.
Because there are millions and millions.
It eats parts of the creature, of the other little creature?
Yeah.
Or long-ass creature?
And it just like clones itself again and reconnects and does the thing.
Dude, that thing is like, it's like the longest, like the licorice rope. It's like coming up and nibbling on the end of a licorice rope. You know what I'm saying?
It's like a licorice note. You know what it's like? Those dot candies, the paper dots.
Just going up and popping a dot off.
You just pop a dot off, baby. There's a whole chain.
They'll make more.
They'll make more. Another one like is this a barrel eye fish, which is it has a fluid field. Damn, I'm doing great with pronunciation today. Another is called the barrel eye fish, which has a fluid-filled head shield that allows them, because some of these, think about a Portuguese man of war. Some of these are meant for stinging, for attacking, for defense.
Yeah.
This thing has a fluid-filled head shield that allows it to juggernaut its way into the tentacles and steal the food.
Whoa!
That the zooids are in the midst of trapping.
wasn't that song, relied fish, I'm getting married. Wasn't that one of them? No?
That was it.
Okay.
That's the song. No, you have it.
Also, the fluid, what was it? The fluid head shield?
The fluid-filled head shield.
Fluid-filled head shield is such a great insult to somebody.
Yeah.
You know? What, do you got a fluid-filled head shield?
Get out of here.
Get out of here. This thing sounds amazing.
Yep.
I love evolution just going fucking crazy. You know, we got one thing that's weird and we got other things that are weird that interact with that first weird thing. And it's just like this snowball effect of weird.
It's like Kirk Cameron says, the banana fits perfectly in your hand.
It's only
and
one
therefore
explanation.
there's a God.
Yes. Only one explanation.
That's the thesis statement of this entire podcast. Listen to Kirk Cameron.
There's one takeaway. It is that Kirk Cameron knows what he's talking about.
But there is an interesting question about this because it's cool. It's amazing. We are getting these things where like they can send electrical nerve signals down, right? But like, how are they communicating so perfectly and so in depth with just nerve signals? Especially since there's no brain. Think about this. There are millions of these things, but there's no central brain to regulate these signals. There's nobody at the switch. There's no one at the helm.
Right. And so, but why are we not studying this? I feel like everybody's just like, that's weird.
You and me?
Yes, you and me. Why are we not in Australia right now, yanking on this thing, pulling it apart, doing what we do, doing what we were born to do, Anthony?
You know that I'm not allowed back into Australia because of all the things I yanked and pulled apart. They already don't like me over there.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It was a tough period in your life.
No, it wasn't. It was a great period of my life, and I learned a lot, and I can't believe that nation of literal criminals and prisoners.
I mean, you're not helping your cause when you constantly call them that.
You're
not wrong.
The great British Empire's fucking debtors and cast-offs.
Yeah.
These murderers decide that I can't rip and tear Doom Guy style when I go down there.
This is the kind of thing
science
that they play at the trial. You know, the audio, like Exhibit B, and then they play you saying this.
There'll never be a trial because I won't go back.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how extradition laws work. And if I don't understand it, I don't have to obey it.
That's the rule.
That's what I tell the IRS every year. So, yeah, so this is this wild freaking enigma, but it also brings up this bigger question that you were bringing up earlier, which is, what is life? What is a colony? We're colonies, right? We're a colony of single cells. These single cells all have a function within us, but it comes together to make what we look at as a single organism.
Right, yeah.
In this case,
yeah,
each organism is acting as a cell almost. Is it one thing? Is it a colony of things?
Right. Well, I think it directly relates to the first story because when you scrape cells off of a frog and you put them in a petri dish and you combine them with other cells and those cells move in a certain way, have you created new life?
Dance? You've created dance.
You created a form of expression that is both beautiful and poetic?
Yeah, and also painful.
Well, extremely painful.
Extremely. We forgot to mention in the top of the first story, the cells are constantly in pain.
There's a lot of screaming.
There's
we didn't
a lot
talk
of
about
tiny
the screaming.
screams. They have no tiny mouth, and yet they must scream. No, but that's the thing. Did we create a new form of life, or did we create a machine? Did we create just sort of like a beneficial coalition of cells that are working together towards a purpose?
Yeah.
Like a little cell UN.
Little cell UN. That's what we created. little diplomatic group of cells. The thing about these, what are they called again? The
siphonophores.
Siphonophores. The siphonophores to me are wild because do they ever find a siphonophore out on its own? Is it like a siphonophore can be swimming and floating and doing its own thing and then it joins up with the group? Or does it always exist in a long line like this? Because if it only ever exists in a long line, I'm more persuaded to feel that it is more like a cell of a larger organism rather than its own bespoke organism.
So, here's a quote from one of the researchers. Like any other animal, siphonophores start off with a single fertilized egg. This egg develops into a small larva, and at some point, this larva will develop its first tentacle. Aw, baby's first tentacle.
Oh, you never forget your first tentacle.
Nope. You never forget when your baby grows its first tentacle and does its first night murder. It will develop its first tentacle, and it has a mouth opening by then. A stem then develops and elongates, and buds begin shooting off to grow the functional bodies. So this does start as a single one of these, and then as opposed to having to reproduce from an egg, it's cloning itself.
This thing is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It starts with a mouth and a tentacle and then clones itself. Those are your words, Anthony. That's what you just said.
I mean,
it starts as a tentacle and a mouth, and then it clones itself millions of times. And we're supposed to not be terrified of this thing?
I'm sorry. I had a tab with H.P. Lovecraft open next to the Wired article. Yeah, it says they're just regular animals and there's nothing to be afraid of.
Oh, thank God.
No, I think that's really fascinating, right? Where like, here's this single thing that comes from an egg, but then it can shoot off these buds that are these exact clones, but that are purpose built, right? One of them has protective scales. One of them has the stinging tentacles. One of them has, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And how does it decide? And how do they all communicate? How do these clones, is it telepathy? Are they tentacled and telepathic? Is this really one of the old gods?
You gotta close that tab, man.
Oh, sorry. I have multiple H.P. Lovecraft tabs open.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So how do these stories make y'all feel, concerned citizens? What does this make you think about life and the definition of life? You can definitely let us know in the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/wehaveconcerns. You could let us know in the Discord. You could email us at wehaveconcernshow@gmail.com. That's also a great place to send stories.
Oh, it's such a great place to send stories, like the Facebook group. You know what else they could do to let us know how they feel? They could pull up the old iTunes podcast app. Mm-hmm. And cruise over to our podcast and leave a 5-star review.
Oh.
They wouldn't, of course, even talk about the show. There's no reason to even mention how you feel about the show. Just tell us how you feel about a creature that consists entirely of mouths and tentacles that can clone itself infinitely. Possible
Dear
pet
House Forum, am I right? You'll never believe what happened to me. I was at a bachelor party in Shoggoths in the Mountains of Madness. Yes, those 5-star reviews definitely help new concerned citizens find the show. And like we said, you don't have to. Writing reviews is hard and it's tricky. You can just write whatever you want in that space. No one reads it.
Write your letter to the stringy thingy in the water. You know?
My favorite Guillermo del Toro movie.
Stringy thingy in the water. Dear stringy thingy in the water. Why are you not writing back?
I did want to let everybody know before we take off this week that our first patron hangout since the rebirth of this show, since we grew a tentacle and a mouth and began shooting out our buds, we're doing our first patron hangout. This is where you jump on a live video call with me and Jeff. All patrons that support us at the patron hangout level get that. And we're blazing it this month, baby. We're doing it on 420. Ow!
What other day would we do it on? How we go, how we do. We're cool. We're so cool.
You're such a fucking cop. It's going to be on April 20th at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I tried to get us to start it at 4:20, but Jeff's got to be out in an hour or so.
Yeah, I got kids, man.
My joke wasn't really worth losing the 20 minutes. I think it was. You could feel free to join at 4:20.
Yeah, join at 4:20, and you'll show how much cooler than us you are. Hey, Anthony, I want to say one of the things I'm so excited about is the fact that we are doing those again, because those were so fun. Mm-hmm. And the community we built, the regulars that would pop in month after month and hang out with us, it became a little family. We had such good times. We laughed. We then stopped laughing. And then there would be other times where we laughed again. Yeah. And I enjoyed those folks. And I'm hoping there are new faces and familiar faces when we start it up again on April 20th.
Absolutely. So if you want to join us, if you're If you are part of the old gods or the new, you can join us. Check out patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.